right from our side.
To avoid legal snags, I need to tell people they're being recorded.
Thank you, Kinsey.
Okay,
That's
thank
great.
you.
That's great. Legal. I'm just going to talk to Kinsey.
Okay.
So welcome. We are so glad you joined us today. Our contingency of folks that are here today are going to talk a little bit about the TCU Higher Education Leadership Program. And to kind of get us started, we're going to have people go around the room and introduce themselves, tell a little bit about them and how their involvement or their level of involvement here at TCU. So we'll start with Shirley.
Yes. Hi, my name is Shirley. I'm a first-year graduate assistant. I'm in the higher ed program, of course, and I have a split position. So I work half of my time as a graduate hall director for fraternity and sorority life, and then the other half of my time I work for housing and residence life, advising the peer conduct board. So pretty fun stuff.
Hi, I'm Emily. I am also a first year here, and I got my undergrad degree in biology from Baylor University. And I am a full-time student activities graduate assistant here on campus, and so I spend all 20 hours working with student activities.
Hello, I'm Taryn Ozuna Allen, Associate Professor of Higher Education Leadership, and this is my first semester at TCU. I work with master's and doctoral students in the Higher Ed Leadership program, but primarily teach in the master's program and supervise students doing their internship.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Wrighton. I did my undergrad at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas in business management, and I'm currently a full-time grad in housing, pursuing a degree in educational leadership in higher education and a comparative race and ethnic studies graduate certificate. I spend 20 hours of my time working my assistantship in the housing department and running one of our residence halls.
Hi, I'm Kelly Lee, and I am the coordinator of student activities. And I advise 4 grads. I'm so sorry. I advise 4 grads, 2 full-time and 2 part-time.
Hi, and I'm Stephen Domney. I serve as the Associate Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, working with our fraternity and sorority community, obviously, at TCU. And then also, as part of my job, I serve as the coordinator of graduate recruitment for the Higher Education Leadership Program. And so you'll spend many of your hours or time in the initial stages talking to me or members of our team. We have 2 graduate students that are also coordinating graduate recruitment, and those are Markel Harris and Lana Whitlock. And so those 3 you'll probably hear the most communication from, and then Dr. Allen and Dr. Mills you might hear from more on the academic side as far as admissions and next steps when it comes to that point. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Allen to talk a little bit about the programs and the courses.
Great. So I'm new, like I mentioned, but what attracted me to TCU and to this program is the fact that we couple academically rigorous classes with a lot of hands-on and real-world experiences. So we have foundational courses as well as focus courses, electives, and 2 internships. Students are doing their internships in a variety of places and locations, from community outreach to government relations, all over different campuses and community organizations. So they get a lot of really great experience in addition to their classes. Our classes are taught by folks who are working in student affairs or previously worked in a higher education leadership role. So I teach the Diversity in American Education class, and that class has more of a focus on preparing social justice-minded educators to work with college students and communities. And then I will also teach the Student Development Theory class and Foundational class in the spring. And while we do focus on sort of like seminal theories and that history, we are also going to include more focus on underrepresented populations and their unique experiences in higher education.
So now we're going to turn it over to a few of our fellow students to talk a little bit about the benefits of the program and the experiences they have had.
Do you want to start off? Sure. Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits for coming to this program. First of all, there is tuition remission, and so if you have an assistantship on campus, then your tuition is paid for, as well as we get a stipend. And so our stipends look the same whether you're a full-time or a part-time grad. I'm going to let Shirley talk more about being a part-time grad and what that looks like. But as a full-time grad, I do live off campus, and so one of the benefits of being in Fort Worth is there's plenty of housing opportunities, and so there's apartments all around the area and things like that. So there's definitely places that you can stay, but I do have to commute to campus. And beyond that, like, you also do get access to the rec center and things like that as a student, as well as you can participate in the student health care plan, which you can get on the plan for like a 75% discount, which is really nice. But yeah, I'll let Shirley talk about being a split grad.
Yeah, and then I have a split position. So that really means that 20 hours, I get to split them in half. The 10 hours I spend as a hall director with Fraternity and Sorority Life. So as Emily said, some assistantships come with housing and some don't. And mine does. So that time I spend as a hall director, and the other time I spend on the peer conduct board helping these students advise cases that happen within residential living spaces in our Greek facilities and then on our main campus residence halls as well. I personally have the student health care option on campus. It's really affordable to be able to use it with your stipend that you're paid for, which is nice. So yeah.
And then beyond that, we also have a study abroad option, which is really unique to our program. And so as a student, you get the opportunity to spend 2 weeks abroad and get to learn about different higher ed programs overseas. So.
And just to note, the stipend is synonymous across the board. So making sure that you know that $16,000 stipend is across the board. I know that might be a question as you look through your options and weigh your decisions. So please note that we want to be transparent about that component. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kelsey to talk a little bit about the internship course.
So as Dr. Allen mentioned, as part of our program requirements, we're required to do 2 internships throughout our time here at TCU. So during that time, you have the opportunity to explore ACUA internships, NODA internships, or even do an independent search over the summer. I highly recommend doing that class and exploring all of your options. As a second-year grad who did my internship class over the summer, I can say it was one of the most valuable experiences for me. I had the opportunity to explore what an internship outside of my housing department looked like to see if that was a functional area that I would be interested in. So for our internship class, we're required to do a number of things, which are post daily and weekly reflections about what our learning process looks like. What are the things that we are being pushed out of our comfort zone, and how do we relate that to student development theory and all the things that we've learned in the previous semester. So the internship experience, I would say, is one of the most valuable things for me throughout this program, because it just allowed me to see and explore a different university and campus, and as well as another functional area which I developed great interest in. The other internship, you have an opportunity to do that like at a community college or even here on campus with a different department. And so that's something you could choose to do in the following fall semester or spring semester, whichever it works with your program best. But having the opportunity to explore those functional areas is one of the best.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the recruitment process and the application timeline. The question that everyone wants to know is the GRE required? So you must have at least a minimum of 3.0 GPA to not have the required GRE performance. So with that being said, if you do have below the 3.0 GPA, you are required to take the GRE. Our application deadlines, so our priority deadlines for assistantships, our first deadline is January 1st. What a way to ring in the new year in 2020. And then our final deadline as far as for admissions is March 1st, 2020. And from there, we will begin that process. In addition to that, there are 2 recruitment elements that we will have going on this year in our process. So one is our visit and experience at OP, Oshkosh Placement Exchange in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So we do participate in that. So if you are a candidate that is participating in that experience, You can come and interview with our team and learn about us, come to our social and that sort of thing. Our next is Visiting Days, March 15th through the 17th, 2020. And we spend the time with you to talk about the program. You get to interact with faculty, staff, and students, get to interview for assistantships, and then get to kind of have a day in the life of the graduate experience. So go to class, go to lunch, interact with different people, have panels of discussions, and even knowing the fact that you'll be in a what we'll call higher ed course light. We won't have you sit through an entire course, but an augmented course to kind of get the feel of what it's like to be in a higher ed course. And then from there, we're moving pretty aggressively from there, and so recognizing the fact that we are in standards with all higher ed programs and our April 15th deadline of acceptance. So understand that that is a national deadline, so you have till April 15th to make a decision, and so we will work with you through that regards. From there, we're going to spend a little time with our grads that have spoken previously and allow them to talk a little bit about why they chose TCU and what they were looking for and how they found that here at TCU.
Why I chose TCU. So I knew looking into my grad experience that I just wanted something that was going to challenge me, not only like professionally and academically, but personally. I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and I did it while I was at home the whole time. So having younger brothers, I kind of shared that experience of responsibility at home and also doing college. So I was like, this is my time where I can move away and kind of just fulfill myself as well as professionally, academically, but personally. So I kind of wanted a space where I could find that. And I felt that TCU was giving me that and has given me that by this unique split position where I get this versatility of being able to work for two departments and really diving in deep of how those two departments work and getting a bigger picture of like what can I see myself doing. But also academically, it was just a big like shining light for me because I was like, what programs have I heard about where you can get credit to study abroad while you're doing your master's degree, where you get credit for doing those internships, and where staff really push you and support you to want to do internships out of state, to want to do internships in local areas and within other departments. So that's really what strung the light for me.
I think for me, I really appreciated how relationship focused TCU is. And so like my relationship with my supervisor is incredible, and he's an amazing mentor. And so I really appreciated my assistantship. And so I get to work with Kelly a lot, putting on concerts and petting zoos and things like that. So my day never quite looks the same. And I really appreciate that because I'm getting to learn a lot all while getting my degree as well. So that's what I like the best.
In addition to the things that Shirley and Emily mentioned, one of the reasons I decided to choose TCU was because I knew I would have the opportunity to kind of customize my program to me. And so I've had the ability to take all of the core classes that I've wanted to, but I've also had the opportunity to do this CREST graduate certificate by taking different electives. And so Dr. Allen talked about this diversity in American education class that she's teaching this semester. That's one of the classes I decided I wanted to be a part of because diversity in education is something I'm interested in. And so just having the opportunity to customize my program plan to me and know that when I graduate with this degree, it will be classes that I've taken and knowledge that I've received about things that I'm truly interested in and passionate about. That's one of the major reasons I decided to come to TCU.
So now we're going to turn it over to Kelly a little bit to talk about where our alumni are and what are they doing these days.
So this program is really unique because a lot of our students right out of graduation have a job, and they are far and wide. So we have people who are abroad, such as Kelsey, who is working with Northeastern in Australia. She is an international coordinator and actually will be coming back to us relatively soon. Carson works in North Carolina as a community director at Wake Forest. We also have students like Brooke, who actually came back and worked in admissions at TCU for a while and is now a campus recruiter. And as well as Taylor, one of our other grads, is an FSL coordinator at Boise State. And a lot of these people are in their fields in which they learned here at TCU. And I think that's really important to point out is that like our assistantships really value teaching our grads skills that they can use and be transferable into another job. And it makes you marketable as well, that you get to the opportunity to also, if you find another focal point, even if it's just in classrooms or in higher ed in general, you do have that flexibility to tap into those different spaces and different departments in order to kind of learn what you really want to do leaving TCU. But all of our grads for the last couple of years have left TCU with a job or with the potential of a job moving out of our program.
So with that being said, I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions, and we want you to have the time to ask those questions. So
Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think you would need to know to benefit you in any way?
What should students who get accepted into the program, like what is one thing that you would tell them that's really important to know about being a part of TCU?
I think going off of Emily, the value in relationship building is like no other coming here. Everyone's really welcoming in open arms, and not only do they want to invest in you professionally, but I think in the couple months that I've been here, I've made amazing connections with people who just want to invest in me as a person as well. So it's a lot of generosity or like genuinism that I haven't had an experience with, which I think has been really nice.
And kind of going off of that, something that we didn't really talk about was this isn't technically a cohort model, but it kind of functions as one. And so like you get really close with your classmates, and like we all hang out, we all are obviously taking the same classes, we all grab dinner together after class and things like that. And so really leaning on those peers has been really helpful because you have like a solid connection and a little family away from family.
In addition to that, I would say come ready to ask questions. Like that's one thing I would say, don't be afraid to ask questions to your supervisor, to your teachers, to your cohort. Don't be afraid to do that. And like they said, like be ready to create those genuine connections and to develop strong relationships with your supervisor, with your professors, with your cohort as well.
I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give as someone that's looking at the candidates that are being admitted is live your truth, be authentically yourself, and don't allow the environment that you're in to dictate who you are. Be unapologetically you. I think that's the unique thing about any higher ed program, but more so TCU, is that we embrace you as you are, and we want to support and guide you and elevate you throughout your process. And so know that through the recruitment process, we chose you because you are you, and we don't expect you to come to TCU and magically go from 0 to 100 in changing of who you are. But we want you to learn how to continue to be yourself while also learning the skills to be the best and most well-rounded person there can be working in higher education.
Okay, one more question. What is it like balancing a 20-hour job and full-time class as well?
I think that's a very great question. Work-life balance is something that we, even as grads and going into professional life, will always continue to have to be able to manage. I work a 20-hour assistantship in housing and take full-time classes. I think time management is the most important thing, right? Because you have to find time for work and work assignments, work projects. You also have to make time for class readings and class assignments. Presentations, all of those things are going to be part of the classroom. But an important piece of that is you and making time for yourself and your self-care. Because if you are not running from a full cup, then you can't achieve any of the things. But also know that there are people and systems in place to support you. And so working a 20-hour assistantship and taking full-time classes can be very time-consuming and demanding, but with proper time management, which is something your supervisors help you to work through. If you have a class coming up the next day, today's Monday, if you have a class coming up on Tuesday and you have that relationship with your supervisor and you say, okay, maybe I'm not able to come in from 10 a.m. this morning, but I'll make it up tomorrow and stay until 6 or stay until 5 to get the work done. Like, those are conversations you're going to have to be open and willing to have in order for you to be successful in all 3 of those areas.
Kelsey, I got it.
Yeah.
That's
No more questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing your name and application in our candidate pool, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to email, call, Facebook, DM, whatever you need, and we will magically make sure that your questions are answered. So with that being said, have a great rest of your day, and go Frogs.
for your time.
Thank you.